Cisco.
Here at AutoZone, we're all about helping you get what you need to keep life moving. Like for that next oil change. Right now, you can get 5 quarts of Pennzoil Platinum Full Synthetic Motor Oil, an STP Extended Life Oil Filter, and a Monster Energy drink, all for just $33.99. And if you need something fast, you can get it fast your way. Whether it's next day delivery or free same-day pickup, in-store or curbside, the choice is yours. Get in the zone. AutoZone. Restrictions and details at AutoZone.com.
For your Gulf Coast Sports Minute, I'm JP. Pensacola Sports recently presented 36 awards and over $100,000 in scholarships at their annual Senior Scholar Athlete Banquet, which of course was held virtually this year. Kaylee Herring from Gulf Breeze and Nicholas Dimitrioff from Catholic High won the overall female and male scholarships respectively. For the UWF Argos men's basketball team, Coach Burkhammer is having a pretty good offseason. After recently attaining a couple of JUCO transfers, the squad assigned yet another transfer in Wendell Matthews. The 6'7" forward averaged over 16 points a game last year for North Iowa Area Community College. In our recruiting spotlight this week, Marquise Robinson for the Milton Panthers. At 6'3", 300 pounds, the big defensive lineman, they call him Big Baby, but make no mistake, there's nothing childish about his game. This young man is an absolute dominant force between the tackles. He possesses great size and rare quickness for the position. Robinson is a 4-star recruit and ranked as the number 18th defensive tackle in the nation by 247 Sports. His offers include Alabama, Georgia, Auburn, and Florida State. That's your Gulf Coast Sports Minute. I'm JP.
The teams, the games, the fans, the local talk. This is ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
Are you paying too much for term life insurance? There's a tremendous price war among the major term life companies, and rates have dropped dramatically in the past few years. For example, for a man age 45 non-tobacco user, it's $1 million of coverage at $75 per month, level rate for the next 10 years. Or a man age 50 non-tobacco user can obtain $500,000 of coverage for a monthly premium of only $110 per month, guaranteed not to change for the next 20 years. That's right, level rate guaranteed not to change for the next 20 years. If you're a smoker, we have great rates available for you as well. At Term Busters, we specialize in policies of $500,000 and above. If you're looking for a new or replacement term life insurance, call today for a quote at 1-866-929-1950. That's 1-866-929-1950. You're probably paying more than you should. Call Term Busters at 1-866-929-1950. That's 1-866-929-1950. Remember, 1-866-929-1950. Rates and availability may vary by state. Sample rate quotes for preferred non-tobacco underwriting. Exam required to qualify.
Football season never ends on Talk Football with Coach K.
Stidham is tearing it up at New England. He may well be the incumbent to Tom Brady there.
Former head coach of the Buffalo Bills, Coach K brings his expertise as he breaks down the game, the players, the coaches, and the front office. Plus, high-profile interviews from the biggest names in football. Talk Football with Coach K every weekday from noon till 1 on ESPN Pensacola 1330 FM 99.1.
Hear ye, hear ye. I bringeth thee a message from... a message from the king and his new trumpeter, Stephen. The king wishes me to convey his favor to thine team and thine tailgate. Not yet. He invites thee to let the Bud Light flow forth. And he also wishes me to tell thee that he toasts thee. Waiteth until the end, Stephen! With game day's favorite light lager and the slogan of his kingdom... Oh! Dilly dilly! Enjoy responsibly. Bud Light Beer, AB, St. Louis, Missouri.
We served our country like those before us.
You know, it was a dangerous era. All of Vietnam was dangerous.
The carnage of war left an indelible mark on me.
We came back and built lives. As time went on, we faced new challenges and found support to handle them.
I went to the VA, talked to my doctor.
I started doing groups. I started doing one-on-one counseling.
At MakeTheConnection.net, you can hear our stories and find tools and services available to you.
This is ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM and 99.1 FM, the only local station that talks sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. From Gullick and Wingo to the Sports Drive with Chad Brilliante. Plus talk football with Coach K at noon, sports call every Saturday. If you'd like to partner with us as an advertiser or a promotional partner, just give us a call at 262-6000.
You're listening to ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. All sports, all the time. WEBY, Milton, Pensacola.
The following has been produced by Talk Football LLC. Former Florida Gators quarterback, NFL quarterback, and NFL head coach. Coach K. Stevenson has a resume second to none, and now he's sharing his insider information with you. Talk Football with Coach K starts right now on ESPN Pensacola.
Welcome in to Talk Football with Coach K. JP here with you alongside former NFL head coach K. Stevenson. On this Tuesday afternoon, hope everybody is doing well, staying safe, and of course, continuing to practice social distancing and of course washing your hands. I think that goes without saying. Listen, we got a lot to talk about today. As we always start off our show, we'll continue to do this. We want to thank our first responders and healthcare workers at this time. And always, to be honest with you, I think it's been brought into a light now with COVID-19 and everything that's going on, just how important they are. But we thank you so much for what you do each and every day. Listen, if you're listening to the show to maybe get away from a little bit of what's going on, well, I hope we can give you what you need here. Look, we're going to talk football, as always, here with Coach K coming up in just a second. But once again, we thank you so much for what you do day in and day out, as well as the essential workers out there. Listen, I know things are starting to get back to a little bit of normalcy. Of course, things are opening back up. Beaches are opening back up, restaurants, everything. But we do want to thank you for everything that you've done, from grocery store employees to truck drivers. I think we forget about truck drivers a lot of times, how important they are in today's society, with not even in a pandemic like this, but just in general. But look, if you're a restaurant that's been open, whatever it is, banks, thank you so much for everything that you've done. We appreciate you guys. We appreciate our community as well, being able to follow protocols for the most part, of course, where we can open back up. Seeing some places that, open back up and shut back down because people don't follow. Well, we've done a great job here in Pensacola, and look, we thank you so much. But, Coach, I know you feel the same way, but how are you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing well. I certainly feel the same way. As I've said before, we can take the entire hour just to talk about what all these people do that you mentioned, and we just thoroughly, totally appreciate it.
Absolutely. And Coach, jump right into this. Some unfortunate news. It's a shame what happened here. Of course, former Auburn football coach and athletic director Pat Dye passed away, of course, yesterday. He was 80 years old. He was hospitalized last month for kidney-related issues. I think we need to know that. The Lee County coroner came out and said that he died at a hospice care facility in Auburn from complications of kidney and liver failure. Yes, he did have – I want to make this clear. He did test positive for the coronavirus, but was asymptomatic. And his son, NFL agent Pat Dye Jr., said, on behalf of our family, I want to thank all the people from around the country who have offered their support and admiration for Dad these past several days. Like he said, Dad would be honored and humbled to know the overwhelming outreach that he had. The world has lost a pretty good football coach and a great man. He was beloved and touched so many lives, and he will be missed by many, especially our family. Listen, for you, maybe you don't know Pat Dye. Maybe you're a little younger. You don't know him. Listen, my other side of my family here, my significant other and her entire family are big-time Auburn fans, so I knew plenty about Pat Dye. Of course, he had a 99-39-4 record in 12 seasons from 1981 to 92, winning at least a share of the SEC championships in 83, 87, 88, and 89. And his Auburn teams won at least 10 games in a season 4 times and a bowl game 6 times. And I think it's another important thing to remember, too. Bo Jackson is a guy that was potentially going to Alabama. He got him to come to Auburn. All the great stories people are talking about Pat Dye, and he's a guy that, you know what, he was going to live his life the way he wanted to live his life. And, it's a shame, Coach, but you know what, we lost a great man, but I think he should be celebrated.
Oh, absolutely. Pat was yes, he was a good man, and he was a good football coach. And some people, maybe many, don't realize he was a heck of a football player. Oddly enough, at the University of Georgia. He was an All-American guard there at Georgia. The Wally Butts, the head coach, and in fact, Fran Tarkington was quarterback part of the time that Pat was a guard there. So, and a very strong Georgia, some very strong Georgia teams while he played there. So it's quite interesting that he was also a heck of a player. And that's such a rival to Auburn, like Georgia.
Yeah, it goes without saying. I think, and look, you, Coach, that's why you bring in the knowledge here. I did not know that he was on there with Fran Tarkenton and those guys. That's interesting enough. And, Pat Dye was a tough son of a gun. I think, people may not agree with some of the things he did, but you know what? He lived his life comfortably. He enjoyed having a good time, and of course had his farm out there and all the things in Quail Hollow. But you know what? He's a guy that a lot of people, like I said, will celebrate because of what he did to that Auburn team. And one of the biggest things was getting Bo Jackson there and how important that was. But, Coach, moving on, look, staying on the college football aspect of things, maybe not the biggest news to some people, but I put this in here because, listen, we try to stay positive with everything, and right now we're getting positive signs when it comes to college football and NFL football moving forward, even the possibility of fans. We'll see what happens, but I don't want to get ahead of myself. Notre Dame, look, they're supposed to open the season against Navy in Dublin, Ireland on August 29th. That'll be here before we know it, but of course they're not going to play in Dublin. They've talked to people. They tried to do it because of how special that game truly is. And they're going to play it in Annapolis, Maryland. I think it's cool. They're going to play, of course, most likely on Labor Day weekend. We'll see what happens here. But, Coach, I think it's more important, not necessarily the fact that they're not playing in Ireland. That would have been so cool to see that again, of course. But that they're playing it overall. I think Notre Dame and Navy, like I said, I say this to open up to everybody that, look, we're going to have college football. I think that's where we're at right now. So, Coach, like I said, I try to stay positive on all this, but for some people, if you're a Notre Dame fan, we have Jeff Waynes here, big-time Notre Dame fan, going against Navy in Dublin, Ireland. Well, they'll probably move that to next year, but right now, Coach, it is on, and may not be August 29th. We'll see what happens, but we're going to have college football.
Yeah, and I think that's a heck of a ball game. Navy plays Notre Dame tough every year, and in the Notre Dame schedule, that's one game that they would not change was the game with Navy, because they felt that it was almost a valued tradition, institutionalized, if you will, their game against Navy every year. So it's a big ball game. I understand why they can't go. I think it would have been interesting for the Fighting Irish to play in Dublin, but nevertheless, the main thing is that they play the ball game. And I think it's good that they're going to play there in Maryland.
Yes, that's always, regardless of fans or not, always going to be, I can't imagine just that feeling playing there in Annapolis, Maryland. That's on my bucket list of places to go, is to watch the Army-Navy football game there. But, Coach, staying on the college football aspect of things here, look, Justin Ross, if you don't know him, well, you should. That big-time a couple years ago in the national championship game, played a big role for Clemson there. Justin Ross was their leading receiver returning for Clemson this year. Now, of course, T. Higgins is gone. He was their leading receiver last year. He is now in the NFL. But Justin Ross is a guy that had almost 1,000 yards last year on a team. We know how good offensively they are. But Justin Ross, of course, will miss the 2020 season because of a neck issue. And now Dabo came out and said it's a congenital fusion in his vertebrae there. And if you don't know what that is, well, I did a little research. I know that can be scary sometimes, but it's something that I want people to understand how important this is and how dangerous it can be. The fusion of the vertebrae can lead to nerve damage in the neck, head, or back area. Over time, individuals, they can develop a narrow spinal canal, which is spinal stenosis in the neck, which can compress and damage the spinal cord. This is something, however, that they found it was actually by accident. Of course, he had a stinger in one of their spring practices because, remember, Clemson had a few spring practices before this was all shut down. But he had a stinger. They went in there and sent him in for some x-rays, and then they found this issue. So it's a blessing that they found it before this was too late. But nonetheless, a tremendous blow to Clemson in that squad. Now, we know that they're going to revamp. They've got some good recruits coming in. They've still got some good players. Amari Rogers is still coming back. They're loaded offensively. But, Coach, just on the aspect of Justin Ross, we hate to see this. And for that Clemson team, it's a big blow to that offense.
Yeah, certainly when you lose someone with that much talent, it's a big blow. And we would have all liked to have seen him be able to play this year with Trevor Lawrence. It could have been something very, very special for him. But like you say, Clemson's got tremendous talent. Somebody's going to step up, and I don't know that they'll replace exactly what he would have done, but they're not going to be hurting for receivers.
No, not at all. And, like we said, we wish nothing but the best. We hope for a fast recovery. We hope everything's good. Remember that Dabo made it clear, too, that there's no guarantee that he can play football again. There's just so many things that can happen here, and we hope the best for him. A great young man as well, and you saw him as a freshman step up into the spotlight there in the national championship game. had a tremendous game for Clemson there. But look, talking about some more college football here. We're college footballing it out before we get to some plenty of NFL stuff and even some XFL stuff coming up. But Mississippi State DB. Now this is a guy in Jerry and Jones. Look, some recruiting news on this. Now he had his intentions to transfer to Ole Miss. Now he changed that and said he is going to transfer to Florida State now. This is a guy that, of course, played a bunch for Mississippi State last year, started a little bit, of course, played big in the Texas A&M game. But this is a guy that, Coach, when you look at this, once again, the reason I bring this up is this is another star guy. This was a guy that was a 4-star athlete there for him, playing cornerback. And we know how, look, they need some help on the defensive side of the ball in the secondary there for Florida State. But getting a guy like this from another Power 5 conference, especially somewhere like Mississippi State, Mike Norvell just continues to get these guys to transfer in, and it looks like they're drinking the Kool-Aid he's got going on in Tallahassee.
Oh, there's no question about it. I really respect what he's done. I think it's very interesting. And Florida State has accumulated and continued to accumulate quite a bit of talent. Just think about a top quarterback like this that has played in major college football in the Southeastern Conference to step onto your football field is going to give you a tremendous push athletically on your football team, and certainly defensively, where you got to depend on those cornerbacks. They're on an island out there, and they better be good. So it's a big plus for Florida State, no doubt about it.
Absolutely, and talking on the recruiting side of things now, it's important to remember Alabama. Now, they've got 13 guys that are returning to campus now. They had some guys, of course, that signed early during that early signing period that were there doing some workouts and things before everything got shut down and everybody got sent home. But I think it's important because, look, these guys are returning this week. They started returning yesterday for Alabama, and we know the 2020 recruiting cycle for them was number 2 according to 247 Sports. So they got some good guys coming in, a good squad, Coach. And one of those guys we talk about is Bryce Young. And the reason I bring him up is, of course, he had a video he posted of throwing during a workout, of course, over the weekend. This kid looks good, and it's something we talked about with the quarterback situation. You got Mac Jones, you got Paul Tyson, you got Bryce Young. And this Alabama squad, with the guys they have coming in this year, I know we've talked about Bama quite a bit. But, Saban is extremely excited about this class. I think, once again, bringing the positive side of things, guys are returning to campus. And, Coach, I'm telling you, this is going to be a lot of fun. If you're an Alabama fan, this is a year that after you say it was a down year last year, and I guess according to their standards it would be, but this is going to be it looks to be a really good football team for Alabama. But nonetheless, they got 13 of their recruits, guys that are first time stepping on campus here as a Alabama Crimson Tide. Good, just always positive signs right now.
Yeah. We've talked quite a bit about the Alabama quarterback situation, and I say again, I really like Mac Jones. I think he's going to be their quarterback and will have a heck of a year. They'll do some things with the other quarterbacks, I'm certain, whether it's to use in athletic type situations where they need people to do certain things in certain situations, whether it's to just complement what they have in the way of being able to throw the football, make a play downfield, get one-on-one situations, and then too, listen, don't forget they have the guy that I've heard a number of people say. I'll say a number of people, at least 2 or 3, say that Coach Bryant's grandson,
Paul Tyson,
is really, really a top flight quarterback, and will be, if given the chance, will be a top flight college quarterback and pro prospect in the future.
Yeah, I've heard the same thing. He's a 4-star prospect. The kid's like 6'5", about 220, 230 pounds. You're right, Coach. This guy, he looks good. You watch his film. I've watched a little bit of his film. He's a good-looking quarterback, and he's a guy that, you know what, if he was anywhere else, I would just about say he would be a starter outside of maybe a couple teams. This kid's that good, but that just tells you how good the situation is right now for Alabama. And you know what? Like I said, it's a good situation to have if you're Alabama. Outside of losing Tua this year, you got a lot of positivity coming back. But, Coach, I want to jump here before we go to break. The XFL side of things, of course, a lot's coming out. There are dozens of bidders exploring a potential XFL purchase. We know what happened with Vince McMahon. They went into bankruptcy. A lot of people said, all right, well, he's going to try to buy it back. He came out in his deposition, of course, and said that he was not going to do that. He was like, I don't know why everybody's making me out to be the bad guy. I think I'm going to buy it back for pennies on the dollar. I'll still wait to see if that happens, or regardless. I don't know. McMahon's done some sketchier things before, but nonetheless, Coach, it looks like the XFL, we talked about it, is going to be back in 2021, just from the positive signs we're getting right now. People are trying to buy it. They're trying to get all the information right now so they can do this as soon as they can. And the reason I bring that up is because that's not as much a surprise. We've talked about that. As someone interesting stepped into the spotlight here and has some interest in coaching the XFL team. Now, Steve Spurrier, this guy came and he was in an interview with The Athletic and mentioned that, listen, if they wanted him to coach, he definitely would not turn it down. So, Coach, I just thought that was kind of funny and ironic for Steve Spurrier. He said he wants the Florida team, of course. He doesn't want to go anywhere else. He wants the Florida team, but he would coach in the XFL if they asked him.
That is interesting. Steve, my boy. Get that, football team and a golf course nearby, and you're set, ready to go. But that is interesting. I'd love to see. If Steve really wants to do it, I'd love to see him get in there and do it again. I think he did a good job with the what was it called? The other spring league.
The AAF.
AAF. Yeah. So let's hope he does get that opportunity. And listen, I'm not surprised that there are quite a few people interested in this spring league XFL. I'm shocked that McMahon let it fold. I really am. I think he had some. Maybe they felt that he had overpaid some people in the organization. I don't know. I'm guessing, but for whatever reason, he put it in bankruptcy. But somebody's going to end up with I think with a good deal. There is a place for spring football. Just got to have the sticking power to stay with it.
Yeah, absolutely. And, Spurrier, of course, when you're talking about the Alliance of American Football that suspended operations after just 8 weeks of play. And I want to make this clear for people saying, yeah, I thought the XFL was going to make it. I understand COVID-19 hit, and so it was just tough, okay? Yeah, I am surprised that it went into bankruptcy the way it did, but the difference from the Alliance of American Football to the XFL was rolling right along. But, look, he coached the Orlando Apollos, and that team went 7-1 in those 8 weeks there. So they were, crowned champions, I guess, as we would crown the Houston Roughnecks champions of the XFL. Coach, listen, we got to go to a break here. When we come back, some interesting, power rankings here from 247 Sports, an interesting breakdown of how they broke the power rankings down. And we'll talk about some of the, quarterbacks and receivers for the 2021 draft. This list may surprise you guys to look out for this year. Some guys on the list that you may shake your head at, but we'll talk about it when we come back right here on Talk Football with Coach K on ESPN Pensacola.
I'm attorney Stephen Luongo with Levin, Papantonio, Thomas, Mitchell, Rafferty, and Proctor in Pensacola, Florida. Distracted driving is a dangerous epidemic on America's roadways. In 2016 alone, over 3,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. This according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. For more information, please visit us today online at levinlaw.com. Please be safe on the roadways. Stop the text, stop the wrecks.
When you're looking for a great deal on a reliable new or certified pre-owned vehicle, you can't beat Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola. Bob Tyler Toyota has the best selection in town at incredible low prices. You can check out their amazing inventory from Camrys to Tundra trucks to 4Runners. It's all at Bob Tyler Toyota, and you can find it online at bobtylertoyota.com. Also score a touchdown this football season with the car of your dreams. Again, it's only at Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola.
Hello, sports fans. Miles Bentley here, General Manager at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Pensacola. Growing up, I always loved sports. Nothing but net, out of the park, through the uprights. Sink the puck Bentley, that was me. But my love of the game couldn't beat my love for Pensacola and helping folks get on the road of dreams in a new Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Sure, I never went to the big leagues in sport, but we're all pro here at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. proud to be in Pensacola.
Sometimes your bank, your family, and your friends love you, but they don't have the money to help you. Sometimes we have chances to make money, but the old saying, you've got to have money to make money, rings true. At Pensacola Specialty Pond, we can help. If you have trucks, heavy equipment, airplanes, boats, jet skis, anything with value, Pensacola Specialty Pond can loan you that short-term money you need. No credit checks, and at Pensacola Specialty Pond, you're going to find the money and the discretion you need.
Now at 6428 Pensacola Boulevard, north of Car City. Call 432-9050, 432-9050.
I'm Troy Rafferty, and many of you know about my love for sports and my longtime support for our local high school athletes. One thing these fine young people have taught me over the years is this: whether it's on the ball field, in the classroom, or in a court of law, always work your hardest and achieve the best results possible. And that is the commitment we make to our clients and our community.
Levin Papantonio in Pensacola since 1955.
JP here. Everyone here at ESPN Pensacola wants to send a shout out to our first responders and healthcare workers at this time. We know it's tough, but we appreciate the work you put day in and day out. We also want to thank our essential workers out there for helping all of us continue to live our lives as normal as possible in this time. For our community, keep rocking it. We are going to get through this. Remember, we were named the #1 strong town in America. That wasn't by accident. We have seen so many people step up and do their part, and we thank all those people for their efforts. We will be stronger for this, and together, we will beat COVID-19.
There's only one name in town when it comes to afternoon local sports talk: The Sports Drive with Chad Brilliante.
Some athletes don't want to be given. Nobody does. No, look, when you play with your pops as it gets older, one of the most embarrassing things. My daughter's 3. I just slam it right in her face, right at the play school hoop. Like right there, like I'm Zion Williamson.
The games, the players, the fans. ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
You can watch Coach K talk football live right now on our YouTube channel at ESPN Pensacola 1330.
Welcome back to Talk Football with Coach K. JP here with you, alongside former NFL head coach Kay Stevenson on this Tuesday afternoon. Hope everybody's doing well. We're talking some football with you, as always. We got a lot to get to here, of course. Coach, talking about 2021, I know it's a little soon sometimes, but I think it's great because it preps us for the college football season on who to keep an eye on, some dark horses. I've got a couple dark horses to look out for as well, but look, the list right now, Mel Kiper has his lists out. Everybody, Todd McShay has a list out. It seems a lot of people, of course, even, NFL.com has a list. Everybody has a list, and we have our list. Guys that, we keep an eye on as well that may be off the radar. But, Coach, when I look at this, the quarterback situation, I'm going to talk quarterbacks and wide receivers here. The quarterback situation, I think, of course, no-brainer here. Trevor Lawrence would be number one. Would you put him, of course, over Justin Fields right now?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. He's going to be absent injury or something very, very strange happening. He'll be number one. I think the way to look at this is that's as intriguing or more intriguing maybe for our college football fans is rather than anticipating the 2021 draft, I think we look at, I see this as being the college football is really going to have an exciting, open, wide open, a great deal of passing efficiency from both quarterbacks and receivers, and look at it more as a what's going to be happening, what's up front in college football for this coming season. I don't really want to talk about the 2021 draft. That's too far away. But I will say quarterbacks, to me, Trevor Lawrence is a once in, I hate to say it, but maybe even once in a lifetime type player. He's got all the physical attributes that you look for. He's got all those boxes checked, and most of the intangibles as well. So he's a no-brainer. He's going to be an all-pro quarterback in the National Football League, no doubt about it. I think Justin Fields is certainly a quarterback that we all need to keep an eye on. He's with a very good football team, as is Trevor Lawrence. But he's got a lot of the same attributes that Trevor Lawrence has. I don't think he has the overall passing skills, but he's got a lot of the other attributes. I'll tell you a couple to look out for that may be interesting to people. It's a David Mills out at Stanford. One of the top kids, I think he was rated number 1 pro-style quarterback coming out of high school a couple of years ago, and went to Stanford, and they're wild about him out there. They think he's going to be something very, very special. He could come bursting on the scene, so be alert for that. David Mills. And then another kid that really very few people know about is a kid named Trey Lawrence up at North Dakota State. Trey Lawrence. And he's got, I think he had 42 touchdowns and no interceptions or something like that. But he's got a tremendous ability to throw the football, and a great athlete as well. He's got them both. He's going to be somebody who's going to be looked at very, very strongly by the pros. I can assure you of that. So there are 4, and there's some more. I think we got the Costello kid coming into Mississippi State, and I think we're going to have a couple kids. I think Trask at Florida. So they're going to be quite a few quarterbacks for people to take a look at, and you've got some receivers there that you want to bring up, and you put it together. It looks for quite an exciting season.
Yeah, absolutely, Coach. Trey Lance is a guy that from North Dakota State. People that want to scoff at, it's North Dakota State. Remember Carson Wentz, same style quarterback. When you look at their stats, they're eerily similar. And this Trey Lance kid, he's the real deal. When you watch him play, like you said, listen, just from a passing perspective, through 28 touchdowns and 0 interceptions, you add the rushing touchdowns that he had because he's a dual threat style guy. And yeah, he has over 40. It's incredible just to watch him. Just to give you an idea, in the FCS championship when they won against James Madison, he ran for over 166 yards on 30 attempts and for a touchdown there. And when you look at this guy is the real deal. He's a guy that could be really sneaky. We'll see if he goes top 5 or not. I think a lot of it depends on what's going to happen in the NFL this year and how his season plays out as well. But, yeah, I agree with you. Davis Mills, you're right, Coach. It's a guy a lot of people forget about at Stanford who's bided his time, who's sat there quietly. You were right. He was a 5-star prospect, number 1 pro-style quarterback there. And, of course, nationally, when you look at him, Coach 6'3", about 200 pounds, good-looking kid. You know that Shaw, what those guys are going to do at Stanford. This is, as an Oregon fan, Stanford is always a team that worries you because they're always physical. And the kid, now that they have a guy that can throw the football, a lot like KJ Costello. Of course, Costello went through some injuries, but yeah, I agree with Costello as well. And then one more guy, Coach, I will mention real quick before we move to the wide receivers, is Tanner Morgan at Minnesota. I think this guy threw for over 3,000 yards last year, 30 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. He's just a leader. He's a tough, physical guy. You saw him go toe-to-toe with Auburn. You saw him go toe-to-toe with some of the big dogs, of course, in the Big Ten there. This is a guy to look out for. I think a lot whenever they played Penn State, and they beat Penn State in that game that shocked a lot of people, had a great game. He was 18-20 for almost 400 yards. This guy's the real deal, and he's a guy that we'll see how it progresses. Just a sophomore, of course, going into his junior year, but nonetheless, a guy to look out for. But, Coach, when I think you hit the nail on the head when you talk about, last year's draft, we talk about, are we ever going to have depth like this? And I think we will. I think it has the potential. We'll see what plays out. But, Coach, when you look at the wide receivers here, there is some superstars out here. You got Jamar Chase last year. Everybody talks about Justin Jefferson, how great a wide receiver he was at LSU. Don't sleep on Jamar Chase. This guy had over almost 1,800 yards last year on 84 receptions. Insane numbers. And that just tells you how special Joe Burrow was as well in that offense. But the guy had I believe it was 20 touchdowns. This is unbelievable when you look at a guy like him. Coach, what wide receiver do you have, or a couple wide receivers maybe that we should look out for? You there, Coach? I think we're
sorry.
good. Oh, you're good.
I said I like what Alabama has in the way of receivers. I really do. I think they're going to have enough. And by the way, we left out Mac Jones. I think Mac Jones is a good quarterback.
Great point.
And I agree with you on Minnesota quarterback as well. So it really looks like a great year for if you like the passing game, and especially opening it up in college football. We should be in for a very, very interesting year.
Yeah, I agree. I think what you were talking about with Alabama there and Jalen Waddle and Devonta Smith, you pair that with Mac Jones. That's where I go. That Mac Jones, I think, like you, Coach, will have a great year. I think he'll be the starting quarterback. We'll see how Bryce Young is implemented in. And look, anything can happen at this point. We have no idea with no spring. That's where the big question marks are. But Jamar Chase, a guy to look out for. Rashad Bateman, we talk about Minnesota. This guy's the real deal as well. Good receiver for him. And a guy in Chris Olave over at Ohio State. We talk about Ohio State and Justin Fields. They lost some receivers. Olave he's a pretty good guy. Don't forget about Justin Ross. We'll see what happens with his surgery. But the one dark horse guy I do want to mention when we're talking about wide receivers, Coach, is the kid out of Purdue, Rondale Moore. This guy, we saw him as a freshman come in and beat. He was a main reason, one of the main reasons that they beat Ohio State and upset him that night. This guy, I watched him, of course, in the bowl game there. I went to the bowl game in Nashville and watched Auburn just destroy Purdue. But this Rondale Moore kid is electric. I mean, he is a utility knife. He can run different draw plays out of the backfield. He can play a running back position. He can play a slot. He can do so many different things. And not only that, I think which will make him a lot more appetizing at the NFL level is this guy could be an unbelievable just burner as a returner on the special teams. We know how special teams players are in the NFL, and they're worth their weight in gold. But that's a guy that I do want to mention, Rondale Moore from Purdue. I know he's from Purdue, but this guy can absolutely light it up, and if you blink, you'll miss him. So just want to throw that out there, Coach, as kind of a dark horse.
Yeah, I agree with you. I certainly do. I look forward to it. I really think that we're going to see some guys light it up this year. I think it should be interesting for our fans.
Well, listen, Coach, we're going to go to a quick break. When we come back, look, we're going to talk about the SEC Power Rankings according to 247 Sports. We'll get a little bit of our own breakdown on the way they did this. They did it by tiers, and I think it's interesting because it puts things in perspective, not necessarily by a number, but where they think they stand as contenders, bowl-bound, wherever that may be. But we'll talk about that and more when we come back right here on Talk Football with Coach K on ESPN Pensacola.
I'm attorney Stephen Luongo with Levin, Papantonio, Thomas, Mitchell, Rafferty, and Proctor in Pensacola, Florida. Distracted driving is a dangerous epidemic on America's roadways. In 2016 alone, over 3,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. This according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. For more information, please visit us today online at levinlaw.com. Please be safe on the roadways. Stop the text, stop the wrecks.
When you're looking for a great deal on a reliable new or certified pre-owned vehicle, you can't beat Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola. Bob Tyler Toyota has the best selection in town at incredible low prices. You can check out their amazing inventory from Camrys to Tundra trucks to 4Runners. It's all at Bob Tyler Toyota, and you can find it online at bobtylertoyota.com. Also score a touchdown this football season with the car of your dreams. Again, it's only at Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola.
Hello, sports fans. Miles Bentley here, General Manager at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Pensacola. Growing up, I always loved sports. Nothing but net, out of the park, through the uprights. Sink the puck, Bentley. That was me. But my love of the game couldn't beat my love for Pensacola and helping folks get on the road of dreams in a new Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Sure, I never went to the big leagues in sport, but we're all pro here at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Proud to be in Pensacola.
You are a waste, a loser. Everyone hates you. Why don't you just stay in your car and keep driving? I'm serious. Drive until you run out of gas, then get out of your car and walk until you find someone who doesn't think you're dumber than bricks. Could take a while, but at least all that walking might burn a couple of calories.
You may not witness bullying like this every day. Your kids do. They want to help, but they don't know how. Visit stopbullying.gov to learn safe, simple ways your child can help stop bullying. Be more than a bystander at stopbullying.gov. A message from the Ad Council.
Pensacola's own NFL Hall of Famer Emmitt Smith has some tips for us during this time.
This fight is up to all of us to try to help bend that curve. It's going to take teamwork. It's going to take us to stay committed, stay focused, and stay dedicated to the mission at hand, and that is to keep everyone safe. So be encouraging. Find some support. Find someone to talk to every day to encourage them to keep on continuing in this fight. And we will beat this pandemic.
Hi, I'm Danica Patrick. Watching my nieces grow, play, and learn is amazing, but not every child gets to be carefree. 1 in 6 kids in the U.S. are hungry. This breaks my heart, and it's something that Feeding America is working to change. Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste and gives it to families in need. To help, visit feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
This is Davis Allen from Sports Call with Davis and Justin, and you're listening to Talk Football with Coach K on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
Welcome back to Talk Football with Coach K. JP here with you alongside former NFL head coach Kay Stevenson on this Tuesday afternoon. Hope everybody's doing well. We're talking some football with you. Coach, when we look at this, of course, we talk about the SEC quite a bit, being down here in SEC country, and we'll get into the ACC some with Florida State and a lot of the other teams around. But, Coach, 247 Sports released the SEC Power Rankings. They did it a little bit of an interesting way. That's the reason that it caught my eye a little bit more than usual here. They did it by tiers, and there's 5 tiers. Now, the 5 tiers I'll explain. 1 is the conference favorite. 2 is the contenders. 3 is bowl-bound but could play a spoiler. 4, fighting for a bowl. And then 5, well, maybe next year. Coach, just to start out number 5 here at the bottom, they have listed maybe next year is Vandy and Arkansas. Would you agree to that statement?
I think we'd have to agree with that right now. Certainly Vanderbilt. I think Pittman's going to do a good job out at Arkansas. I just don't think he has anything to work with right now. They're going to have a couple of years, where they recruit well to get the talent in there to compete.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think for Sam Pittman, I think it's going to be an interesting move, a good move for him to move forward here. But I think you're right. It's important to remember that he doesn't have the guys he wants in there yet. He did a pretty good job doing some recruiting out there, but it will be a little tough for Arkansas. But this year, probably not. Vandy, well, we don't know what Vandy's going to be. If it's baseball, then we're talking about this team at the top of the list. But we're talking about football here. Coach, number 4, the 4th tier here, fighting for a bowl. Now, of course, that's to get to 6 wins here. They have Ole Miss, Mizzou, South Carolina, and Mississippi State. Would you put them in the bowl bound? It could play a spoiler, or was number 4 right here, fighting for a bowl, a good place to put some of these teams?
I think strong in that category would be both Mississippi State and Mississippi. I really do. I think they're going to surprise some people. I think they're going to win a couple of ball games that maybe people think they shouldn't. I'm not sure about South Carolina at this point. I'm just not sure about the other teams that you listed there. But I think that's a fair category. They should be fighting for a bowl, in that. And listen, you're not far off if you're 6 wins to get to a bowl now, which is ridiculous, I think. But if you win 4 or 5 or 6 ball games, there's not a whole heck of a lot of difference there. There is perception-wise, but you're not far off. 4 from, if you win 4, and somebody said, well, we're that far away from being in a bowl game. So, they're in the possibility of a bowl game, yeah.
Yeah, I would agree. I think Ole Miss and Mississippi State are going to surprise some people this year, especially Mississippi State with Mike Leach and that offense and what they're going to be able to do. It's going to surprise some people. And South Carolina, listen, they're always tough defensively. It's a matter of getting, Ryan Helinski's back now. He's a talented freshman they had last year. We'll see what happens there. Missouri with Eli Drinkwitz, I think Drinkwitz is an interesting hire for what he was able to do at Appalachian State. But you know what? It's a team that defensively we know they're good. But once again, it's a team that struggled mightily in the offensive category, and you better be able to put some points on the board if you want to win the SEC. So I think that's pretty good. Bowl-bound, but could play a spoiler. Two teams here, Coach, in Kentucky and Tennessee. I think when you look at Kentucky's schedule, I think, of course, they're going to be bowl-bound because they do have a fairly easier schedule. They do have some guys coming back. Of course, their quarterback is now coming back. Tennessee is the interesting team here. Coach, when you look at these two teams here, do you believe that Tennessee is going to be bowl-bound this year?
I think there's a very good possibility. I'm not so sure whether they should jump out of that Category 4 class there, but they certainly have the potential, and I hate that word potential, but they certainly have the ability, I think, to be eligible for a bowl. They're doing some good things, and I got to give that football team some credit, the coaching staff, and what they've been able to do in the way of recruiting. They had a pretty good recruiting year this year. Now, don't forget that, which should help them. I think they've improved. They will improve. They've got some momentum from last year. So, yes, it would be certainly they should be in the category of probable bowl game, yeah.
And, Coach, moving on here to the number 2 tier, the contenders. There are teams that could, fight for the conference championship or fight for their division right there. I want to start at the backside of this because it's a team that kind of surprised me that's in this. But you know what? We've seen this team be really good and we've seen this team be really bad. And it's the Auburn Tigers. They're listed as a contender. I personally think they should be more, especially with the losses that they had on offense when you look at Jartavius Whitlow at the running back position and some of the wide receivers as well. And then you look at the defensive line. I know they're revamping a little bit, but they lost 3 guys to the NFL that were top-tier defensive linemen. This is a team I believe that should be in the bowl-bound but could play a spoiler in the Auburn Tigers. Coach, do you believe the Auburn Tigers are a contender this year?
No, not necessarily. I probably feel about it the same way you do. I'm just not certain that they're a real strong football team from a number of aspects there, really. I'm not sure. I'll have to be honest. I'm not sure about their coaching. Now, we got another change this year. They're going to bring somebody else in. He says he's going to call the plays. I think that'll probably last about 3 games, 4 games, depending on how they do, and you'll take it back, so you'll have another transfer of it's just, from one thing to another. I think they're unsettled. I don't really see Auburn being a major contender. I do like the young Nix kid, the quarterback. I think he's got a chance to be a pretty good quarterback. I don't know whether he will in that Auburn system, but he's got a chance to be a pretty good quarterback.
I would agree. I like Bo Nix as well, too. Chad Morris coming in from Arkansas is supposed to be the savior for the offensive side of the football, but we'll see what happens. We know how play calls go over there in Auburn and who's going to take charge. Doesn't take long before he grabs that playbook and starts calling it out. But, Coach, when we talk about the next team here, Texas A&M, I know this is a team that you've been high on as well, and rightfully so. When you look at this, they have all the makings of a top team. They have 19 returning starters. And, it's a team that when you look at their schedule last year, I know Feinbaum, he talked about Texas A&M as a team to look out for as well, just because they lost the games last year they were supposed to lose. When you look at their grueling schedule of playing top 10 teams, I mean, they lost those games, but they weren't absolute blowouts necessarily. This team is a team that, you know what, Kellen Mond is a guy that I don't believe is an elite quarterback. I know a lot of people like him, but nonetheless, he's a guy that's been there and he's done that. And I think for this year for them, it's going to be interesting. They're not in competitive games against Alabama, Auburn, Clemson, and LSU like last year. So the schedule looks fairly favorable. This is a team that could surprise a lot of people, Coach. And I know that you like Texas A&M Aggies with Jimbo Fisher.
Well, I'll tell you what I like about Texas A&M. I like their circumstance as to where they are, where they sit, the facilities that they have. And I've said before, gosh, you're sitting there in Texas, one of the best recruiting areas in the country. You can dip over into other southern states because you're in the SEC, and you draw a lot of those kids out that way who would like to play in a conference in the SEC where you're going to play against Alabama and LSU and Florida and all the teams there that they could get some national publicity and recognition for. I think they've recruited well. I, like you, am a little hesitant about their quarterback. I think if they have a top-flight quarterback, they would be much tougher. I don't think they're going to replace Alabama. I would call them a contender. I guess you could call them a contender. And they're going to make it tough on people. There's no doubt about that. But I don't see them replacing Alabama. The big game is going to be, I think the big thing is whether they maybe replace LSU in the West as the number 2 team over there. But at any rate, they're a growing program, and I think they're going to get better and better. So it's going to be hard to stop them.
I agree with you on that. This is a team that's dangerous. Jimbo Fisher always has these dangerous teams like this, and he's got a few years under his belt now. And, of course, last year going 7-5 the way they did in the regular season, I don't think is going to happen this year. But, Coach, when the next team, the team you just mentioned here, LSU, I think this is one of the biggest question marks, even more so than Georgia, because we know the talent Georgia has coming back. But this LSU team, they lost 16 guys last year off the team, of course, that won a national championship. That was an unbelievable run to the national championship as well, just the dominance they had. But this is a team that has some good guys coming back. Derek Stingley on the defensive side of the football is back. But Miles Brennan, that's the guy. That's the quarterback as replacing Joe Burrow, which is not going to be an easy job. I think it's important for people to understand, do not compare him to Joe Burrow. Miles Brennan is his own player here. And look, we know the offensive coordinators come out and said, you better get on the hype train now because there's not going to be any room. This kid is the real deal in Miles Brennan. Coach, I think the big question this year is going to be Miles Brennan. Can he live up to the billing that's being put out there?
Yeah, I like Miles Brennan. I really do. But keep in mind, too, listen, this kid, a lot of people have talked favorably about his talent level. And he has been in that program now for a couple of years. And he is being the backup quarterback to Burrow. He obviously took a lot of snaps in practice. Think about it now, how many snaps he took in practice, how much he had to prepare to be ready to play at any time at the drop of a hat should injury occur. So here's a young man that I think is going to play and play well. Now, the problem that you have at LSU is how do you overcome losing one of the best quarterback performances ever in the history of college football, ever. That's a long time. And how do you lose 16 people off that football team? And how do you lose the architect of the offense that put up all those points and was so proficient offensively, and the defensive coordinator as well? How do you lose all that, JP, and expect to stay competitive? That's my problem with LSU. I think they've got a lot of good football players they've recruited and all that, but I don't think they have the depth, and they can't have the depth they had this last year. And the loss of all that talent people is just going to be very, very difficult for me to think that they can overcome that.
Yeah, it's unbelievable to think just from the players that they lost, Coach, but great point there in the coaching staff and in how that locker room is going to look and just where do you go from here type of thing. And look, Ed O is a fantastic coach. I think he is against the gun this year when you look at everything that's going on with LSU. I think that, you know what, if he can take this team and get them 10 wins, that will be fantastic, and he deserves a ton of credit for continuing to put that product on the field because that's tough. Some of these teams you see we lose their quarterback or they may lose maybe 6 or 7 guys to the draft. He lost 16 guys that were starting or playing a ton of snaps. That is unbelievable when you look at you have 22 starters on the field. So nonetheless, Coach, a team here, a couple more teams I just want to mention here, Florida and Georgia. These are two teams that I believe this is going to be the East. These are the two teams that will compete for the East, obviously. But I've said before, like you, Coach, that Florida, I think this is their year to jump up. And I think it's important, though, an interesting stat that I found out. And I know this doesn't mean a hill of beans when it comes to this year because every year is different. But in 11 career meetings as a coordinator for the head coach against Kirby Smart in the same role, Dan Mullen's offense has averaged just 12 points a game against Kirby Smart. I think just throwing out there, we've seen similar to that the couple years that Florida has played Georgia where it's been tough sledding. But, Coach, like I said, I just don't think that that's going to matter anymore just because of that team. I think Florida's going to have a good defense, as always, here. And I think offensively they're going to hit their mark, and I think they'll take the East. And I would put them over Georgia.
Well, I would agree with you. I think this is the year that happens. I think, again, Georgia lost, 4 of their 5 starting offensive linemen and a quarterback that is an absolute winner. They can put all the quarterbacks, accumulate all the quarterbacks they want from around the country and put them in their quarterback room over there. They may not even come close to the guy they lost because he's proven. Now, you couple that with the fact that Florida's really got more cohesion right now, more momentum coming back. They finally got a quarterback, and their coaching staff has been together now a couple of years. And I really feel like this, like you, this is the year that Florida retakes the East. Now, you say teams in contention, yes. You could say put both of these teams in the category of contention because what you got to do is if you win the East, you're in a one-game playoff with Alabama, probably Alabama. But it's a one-game playoff, and anything can happen in that particular ball game if you have the talent to be there in the first place. So yes, they're in contention. I think between those two teams will have a one-game playoff with Alabama.
Yeah, Coach, and I think you just said it there. The top contender conference favorite obviously is Alabama. With what they have coming back, offensively, defensively, they have some fantastic starters all around. Remember that defense that was gouged a little bit last year, of course, was missing some of their top linebackers. They're back. When you look at the secondary, a lot of those guys are back as well. I know they lost a couple, but I think that there are a lot of young guys got a lot of playing time last year due to injuries, and these are 4- and 5-star guys that are really good. I know sometimes we don't put as much emphasis on a 4- and 5-star guy, but Alabama has done such a good job with putting defensive players in the draft, as well as when you look at the offensive side of the ball with Mac Jones, Bryce Jones, all these guys they have coming back. Devonta Smith, Jalen Waddle, those are 2 first-round receivers. We talked about them earlier in the show. And then you have Najee Harris. I think that's the important guy coming back for that run game. Just really solidifies that offensive line, which I think is going to be pretty good. Once again, I know Jedrick Wills and some of those guys are gone. But once again, this is a team in Alabama and Nick Saban that you talk about him a lot like you talk about Belichick. You never count this guy out. I mean, until it's over, it's never over. And, Coach, any reason to believe that the Crimson Tide are not going to be the conference favorites this year?
No, I don't think there's any reason to believe that they won't. I really would think that they will be the conference champions, and they're going to be with that coaching staff and with the talent that just they just retool every year. They have talent, they have depth, they have the coaches to make things happen. Yes, I certainly would pick Alabama as being the SEC favorite. And maybe, right in there we may see another Alabama-Clemson game for the national championship.
Yeah, it's going to be great, and Coach, it's good to talk about that just because of the uncertainty that we've had in the past few months here. But just to talk about a national championship game, it's going to be a lot of fun. Listen, it's going to be an interesting year, regardless, outside of football, everything that's going to go on. But nonetheless, we got to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to have some NFL news. Look, an interesting hire for a team around Houston, and we're going to talk about who you believe the best coach in the NFL outside of Bill Belichick is right now in the NFL. All that and more, we come back on Talk Football with Coach K on ESPN Pensacola.
I'm attorney Stephen Luongo with Levin, Papantonio, Thomas, Mitchell, Rafferty, and Proctor in Pensacola, Florida. Distracted driving is a dangerous epidemic on America's roadways. In 2016 alone, over 3,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. This according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. For more information, please visit us today online at levinlaw.com. Please be safe on the roadways. Stop the text, stop the wrecks.
When you're looking for a great deal on a reliable new or certified pre-owned vehicle, you can't beat Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola. Bob Tyler Toyota has the best selection in town at incredible low prices. You can check out their amazing inventory from Camrys to Tundra trucks to 4Runners. It's all at Bob Tyler Toyota, and you can find it online at bobtylertoyota.com. Also score a touchdown this football season with the car of your dreams. Again, it's only at Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola.
There's only one place in town for the lowest prices and greatest selection of firearms. Pensacola Indoor Shooting Range. Visit our fully stocked Gun Pro Shop for new and used firearms, accessories, and ammunition. Check out the Indoor Shooting Range. We offer rentals on guns, including fully automatic machine guns and silencers. Ladies, this is the safe place to learn how to use a gun. Plus, Tuesday is Ladies' Day. Women shoot for half price all day. The best place to buy firearms in Pensacola. Pensacola Indoor Shooting Range. Highway 29 in Car City.
What'd you do this time, Brad?
I'm in the doghouse after my hunting trip last weekend.
Yeah, I was too. I blew off our date.
How'd you get out of the doghouse?
Stillwater's Day and Medical Spa. I got her a gift card. It took 3 minutes at swmedspa.com. She booked it this Saturday.
Saturday? So 9 holes then?
Tea time's at 8.
To enjoy a hassle-free guys' weekend, treat her to a gift card from Stillwater's Day and Medical Spa. Follow Stillwater's on Facebook or Instagram to enter contests and win great prizes. Or visit swmedspa.com.
The teams, the games, the fans, the local talk. This is ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
Welcome back to Talk Football with Coach K. JP here with you alongside former NFL head coach Kay Stevenson on this Tuesday afternoon. A couple minutes here, final segment of the show. Coach, look, we talk about Bill Belichick. We know how great he is in the NFL as a head coach. He will go down as one of the best ever. Coach, outside of Bill Belichick right now, I got this question yesterday. Who do you believe is the best coach right now?
Oh, that's a tough question. I think there are quite a few good coaches right now, to be honest with you. You'd have to give Andy Reid at Kansas City. I got to name a couple of others. I mean, they're all right in there together.
Absolutely.
Sean Payton at New Orleans, what he's done. Harbaugh, what he's done at Baltimore. Mike Tomlin at Pittsburgh. Doug Peterson at Philadelphia. And I, of course, I'm a little prejudiced, but I like Frank Reich at Indianapolis. There's some good young coaches that really haven't proven anything yet, but, Sean Payton, Mike Vrabel, of course, you like Bruce Arians and Kyle Shanahan. But there's just there are a number of good coaches out there right now.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I think that's an interesting question just because we don't realize how talented the coaching pool is in the NFL right now until you really just break it down and look at it. But, Coach, just so I can hear you say it, is Bill Belichick the best coach in the NFL right now?
Oh, there's no question, mate. He's the best coach in football. Number two would be Saban. I don't think there's much doubt about that. It's ironic that both of them coached together. Saban was on Belichick's staff. And when I can remember hearing about the two of them years ago when they were both real youngsters.
Yeah, I think it's important. A lot of people forget that, and no surprise, like you said there. I coach, and I know you love Belichick, and so do I. It's interesting just to see what he's been able to do for so long, and the respect he deserves it. We know that, and that's once again we talk about people with the Bills winning that division. We've said plenty. Don't count out Bill Belichick because the moment you count him out is the moment that he comes back and ends up winning another Super Bowl. Not saying that's going to happen this year, but just giving him the respect. But Coach, that sound means it's time for us to go as usual. Well, we had a ton to get to. We got to some of it, but we'll get to more tomorrow. But it's been a pleasure, Coach.
You bet. I'll tell you, we thank our sponsors, too, for all they've done, not only for us, but for the community.
Absolutely. We appreciate our sponsors so much and everything they do for us, being able to bring you talk football each and every day. We appreciate them hanging on with us during this tough time and what they mean for our communities as well. We appreciate them to the moon. I mean, it just goes without saying. But, look, we'll be back tomorrow, same time. We appreciate you tuning in with us. Same time tomorrow right here on Talk Football with Coach K on ESPN Pensacola.
99.1 FM. All sports, all the time. WEBY, Milton, Pensacola.
First Take, Your Take on ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, Sirius XM, Channel 80, and ESPN News. I'm Jason Fitz. We're going to start the hour, as we do every hour, with some headlines that you need to know. Start with some sad news in the NBA world. Hall of Famer and former Washington Bullets star Wes Unseld dies at the age of 74. The family said in a statement that Unseld had lengthy health issues, most recently with pneumonia. His quote, "He was the rock of our family, an extremely devoted patriarch who reveled in being with his wife, children, friends, and teammates. He was our hero and loved playing basketball and working around the game of basketball for the cities of Baltimore and Washington, D.C., cities he proudly wore on his chest for so many years." Our condolences go out to the Unseld family. Next up on the headlines you need to know, a judge has weighed in on the case against Zion Williamson. Remember that there's questions on whether he was eligible to play as a result of benefits he received to go to Duke in 2018-19. Well, a Florida state court judge on Tuesday denied the Pelicans' rookie request to stay discovery into whether he was eligible under NCAA rules when he played that season. So they ruled he will be required to answer questions and requests for admissions from attorneys representing Gina Ford and Prime Sports Marketing, who are suing Williamson for $100 million for breaching their marketing agreement. They're expected to file an appeal, so we'll see what that means moving forward. And lastly, in the headlines, a little bit of encouraging news in the coronavirus